feminine woman is not afraid to lose a man. Hello and welcome to the Black Swan Relationship Academy, right here where I teach you feminine, high value women how to really attract and bring into your life a high value masculine man who is going to give, protect, and cherish without sacrificing your purpose, your ambition, your career. If that sounds good to you, then the Black Swan Relationship Academy channel and website and courses and nation are the right fit for you. Keep watching. Okie dokie. So today I wanted to talk about why a high value feminine woman isn't afraid to lose a man. Now, this doesn't mean that I always say to my ladies and to my swans, high value feminine women are still women. They're not another species. They are still women. We are still women. And what does that mean? It means we hurt. It means we feel sad when we lose a man that we were kind of into. Sometimes we even get down on ourselves when we lose a relationship that we really were craving and thought we had found. Yes, we feel what every woman feels. We just respond differently because we understand differently. One of my favorite scriptures is, in all you're getting, get understanding. Understanding for me has been such a pivotal role in my personal life, because the moment I know why I do something or why something happens, it breaks away the pain that comes with confusion. And confusion can be really, really painful. When we don't understand why we're doing things or why people are doing things, we just feel like it is because it begins to trigger those childhood wounds. I don't matter. I must truly not be worth that person considering my feelings. So many things start to rise to the surface, but the moment you get understanding, the moment you understand, oh, this is why this is happening to me, this is why this person is behaving this way, then we begin to have release, because we understand that it has less to do with us and more to do with their personal battles. So yes, ladies, it does suck. It hurts so bad when we have to say goodbye to a man that we really care about, that we had a rapport with, that we built a connection with, that we made an emotional investment into. Of course it sucks, but it shouldn't destroy your world, especially if you're a feminine woman. What is being feminine got to do with it, Chengi? Some of you might be asking yourself. Being feminine, by its very essence and its very nature, is a deep connection to your feelings. It's deeply being connected to the way you feel. When we're in masculine energy, we do not connect with ourselves. Masculine energy is very external, whilst feminine energy is very internal. It is very introspective energy. We are at our best and most feminine when we're attuned to self, when we are connected to self, whether what's going on the inside is good, bad, or ugly. Are you truly connected with it? Many of us think we are. And I'm going to tell you something about me that you wouldn't know by looking at me. When I was growing up, and I'll be sharing pieces of my story so we get to know each other as well. But when I was growing up, because I felt so abandoned and neglected, and I didn't have any other tools to handle the life that I was growing up in, because I also knew that I was deeply, deeply loved and cared for. It was very difficult for me as a child to even put that to paper, so I grew up very angry. I was a very angry child. But because I wasn't good at speaking, I couldn't use my words growing up. Now, you can't stop me from talking if you tried. But when I was younger, I couldn't use my words, mainly because of the rage. When I would open my mouth to speak, the rage would rise up and I wouldn't be able to actually say the words because it would be blinding. My mind would shut down, my heart would shut down. And so the only way that I knew how to respond was to break things. So I would tear things up, break things, throw things. And so I had this awesome horrible temper. And because I was so full of rage and so full of pain and so full of suffering, it is the only emotion I knew, was conscious of. And that caused me to disconnect from my essence. Because my essence wanted me to be calm, but I only had one tool: to be mad. And it didn't stop. As I got older, I was smaller than most girls, so I couldn't really run my mouth in the same way that most people could. I'd probably get beaten. So I developed another personality, to be more amiable, to be more kind. But even underneath all of that was always rage and a feeling that I wasn't being seen, a feeling that I wasn't being heard, a feeling that I wasn't being understood, a feeling that I was invisible. And throughout my teens, I really struggled with suicidal thoughts and depression. I would just cross the road and hope that the cars will run me over. I was so terribly suicidal. But obviously, as we know, the body of a teenager struggles to develop dopamine in the same way. Or if it's not the hormone, please I apologize, but I believe it's that. It is suppressed, and so they have to do crazy things to get that dopamine high. So most teenagers are usually depressed by nature of the fact that their bodies are not as apt at creating the kind of dopamine that they need in order to regulate their emotions. But here I was suffering through this and really wanting to die, and the only reason I didn't die is because I didn't deliberately kill myself, is because I thought I'd go to hell, and I didn't want to go to hell. So I was kind of hoping if I was careless with my life, then oops, it wasn't my fault, God, right? So I had a really tough time, and depression usually is an indication that there's a misalignment between your essence and yourself. Now, that is not the clinical understanding. I am not a therapist or a psychologist, but I can tell you that from a spiritual perspective and standpoint, when we are in disalignment with self, when the voice of self is muffled and repressed, when the desires of self are muffled and it has to endure unmet needs perpetually, that is what creates the energy of depression, the energy of what is the point, because it is alignment. And often we think as we're growing up, and as we grow up, that alignment comes from our caregivers. It is up to them to remind us and to concur with the inner voice that you matter. As a baby, you are not born worried about whether you're attractive or not, whether you're smart or not. You just are. Babies just are. And I think that's why we just absolutely adore them. They haven't learned any other way of being except the world that they're going to enter into. And they rely on the adult to affirm them, to validate them, to remind them of their worth. In the absence of that, then the child begins to feel, I don't mean anything and I don't matter. And then they begin to, like myself, begin to hate the world and hate their life. So I'm saying this not from a place of, oh, I just want to say something, but I'm saying this because it comes from experience. The direct disconnect with my own spirit and soul, and the direct disconnect that many women have, is where masculine energy finds its greatest stronghold in our minds and in our bodies. We then have to lean on masculine energy to protect ourselves because we feel too vulnerable. And so when we're in our masculine energy, we then lean into being aggressive verbally, emotionally, in every way. You know, there are a lot of things that I did as a younger woman, dating and even in my marriage, that fill me with shame because I was so angry. And even if I wasn't breaking things and words were coming out of my mouth that would break any man. And sometimes I think, oops, he did well to stick around with me for 13 years, just as I did well to stick around him. He wasn't perfect, but he wasn't married to a perfect woman either. Now, why is it, therefore, feminine woman, therefore, is not afraid? It's because once you master femininity, you are so in touch with yourself that when a man makes you feel bad, you lose attraction for him. I was unable to lose attraction to a man that made me feel bad because I wasn't able to acknowledge that I felt bad. I wasn't able to acknowledge that this is really hurtful. I would just get angry. When I was hurt, I would get angry. When I was disappointed, I would get angry. When I was uncomfortable with what a man was doing, I'd get angry. When I was, in pain because of a man's behavior, I would get angry. And anger isn't a real emotion. It is an emotion, and it has its validity in the right situations, in the right circumstances, but it cannot possibly be the only emotion we feel. But when we are disconnected, that is the truth. And so when you connect back with yourself and begin to understand and appreciate and respect how you feel, who you are as a person, as a woman, you will begin to realize that, in fact, when a man makes you feel hurt, not only are you able to articulate it, but you're really okay with him leaving your space. Why? Because your space is sacred. You create a healthy space for yourself every day emotionally. You create a safe space for yourself every day spiritually. So when another spirit, another energy, and another emotional state comes into your world, and you say, hey, not here, not in this universe, not in this Black Swan universe, boo-boo, right? And he walks away, then it means bad energy has left your life. You can stay whole, okay? So when he walks away, it's really important for us to understand that actually the reason why I am lurching forward and almost dying that he left is because I'm not attuned to myself. I was speaking to one of my girls the other day, and she sent me a long message thanking me, Chengi, oh my God, thank you. She'd been dealing with this guy who was playing games, not calling, just the usual 101 game plays. And we might do a video on that. But basically, he was not showing up. He was not being authentic. He was not showing any integrity whatsoever. And she was really into him. Until we had a conversation and I allowed her to really spend time checking in with herself. Is this really what she desired? When you start to do the Soulmate Attraction System course, which is on the Black Swan Relationship Academy, you can go and do that course, which she did. I said, when you did your module 1, what did you write down would be your desire? Does he tick off any of those boxes? Why are those desires important to you? Are you able to tune back in with yourself and check in with yourself? Because when you check in with yourself, you will see that he cannot meet your needs, and he has not met not even one of those needs. And when she was able to check in on herself, she had this aha moment, and she realized actually he wasn't making me happy. He was actually making me sad. He was actually he was damaging my self-esteem. He was actually bringing more harm than good. When she started to connect with her feminine energy, she was grateful. She was like, oh my God, thank you so much, Chengi. Oh my God, I would have been strung out with this guy. I would have been. And then she started to actually see what was going on. And I thought, right, this video is so necessary for us to realize that it doesn't hurt so bad when you're connected to self. When you really begin to create a relationship with yourself that is healthy and hearty. Now, if you're saying, Chengi, how am I going to create that relationship? I've already mentioned it. It's the Soulmate Attraction System course. This is my signature course for every single woman who really wants to connect with her femininity. This is a course that you have to do if you're really going to cross over to the other side at whatever stage of dating that you are. Because in this course, we go deep. We dive deep into the real issues at the heart and what is truly going on. I hope that you have understood, or that I have made myself as clear as I can in this video and in the time that I have. I hope that you've got to know me a little bit better, and that you've begun to understand the process of healing, the process of self-awareness, truly understanding how where you have been has defined who you've been, and how you can begin to map out your journey to being your high-value feminine self. I promise you that when you become a high-value feminine woman, you will look back at yourself and think, whoa, I have come a long way in a very short space of time. I am so excited to have you in my universe, and I hope the next time you set your standards and your boundaries and a man walks away, that you won't lose any sleep, but in fact be deeply grateful and say, whew, you saved me a lot of suffering and pain, because my heart, my space is sacred. I work way too hard to stay centered in love with myself. So goodbye. I certainly hope that this video made sense. I look forward to seeing you in my next one. In the meantime, take care of you.